Okay, it's another Saturday morning, and you know, Ron's good enough to do a little video rant of mine. Earlier on, we met up at our usual location, which is the Tim Hortons on Queen Street by St Michael's Hospital there. And this morning, Ron brought along Anna, and we was joined by a well-known journalist from the Toronto Star, Joe Fiorito, who is actually going to do a little article, I think, regarding Ron's you know, current work on doing videos about homeless people and such. Joe was you know, a very interesting sort of chap, as you well imagine. You know, he was taking a lot of notes, and he was actually with us when we managed to interview a man who was coming out of one of the shelters. It turned out this man, who's in his early 40s, he's actually, you know, suffers from schizophrenia. Although to look at him and listen to him, it wasn't that apparent. He was quite lucid, really. He was explaining how he doesn't take any medication, which is quite unusual for people in his situation. He also you know, was still looking for work. He seemed quite optimistic. He was reasonably presentable, unlike a lot of people with his affliction and people that sort of tend to be homeless or live in the shelter environment. They tend to let themselves go, and you know, he was you know, trying to get there, you know, against all the odds. You know, of course, Joe was interviewing me a little bit with Ron and Anna. He actually knows Ron and Anna from previous work he had done going back some years. So yeah, all in all, it wasn't too bad. We then managed to get another interview with a chap who, for some time, he'd worked in the construction industry as a skilled tradesman, and one thing led to another. He got mental health issues regarding depression. But nonetheless, he was pretty optimistic again. He didn't seem to have a lot of the addiction problems like some of these people have, you know, with alcohol and drugs or both. You know, he just seemed to be a regular chap, really. But anyway, so that was, you know, in a nutshell, the morning. Now, as usual, I've got one of my other cameras here. This again is a film camera.
There's my cat, Rascal.
And of course, so we're now joined by Rascal the cat. This is called the Pentax Spotmatic. They produced these in quite large quantities from 1964 to 1976. Made by the Ashai Optical Company in Japan. Really good little camera, well made, very sturdy, 35mm full frame. It's fitted with a Takuma 135 3-5 lens, which makes the small telephoto lens ideal for little grab shots on the street or a portrait or something. Again, very sturdy. Pentax produced a lot of these Spotmatics in different forms, one way or another. You know, this is one of the very early ones. As I said, the later ones had slightly more sophisticated exposure metering. But having said that, I actually don't use the built-in exposure meter with this. I prefer a handheld meter. But nonetheless, you know, they were quite good for the day. Another point to make about these, the button style battery that powers the exposure meter, because of various regulations now with the green issue, they're hard to come by. You can get the Chinese made ones which fit them, but there's also a company called the Wayne. They make what the Wayne battery, which is a sort of a greener type of power unit. But anyway, this is a beautiful camera. And as I say, this is probably made between about 1964 and maybe 1967. That's the period. You know, this is the early Spotmatic. So on that note, I'll leave you all, and just to say hello to anybody in the UK watching this, and of course people here in Canada and elsewhere, and of course a certain person in New Zealand, and over and out.